CimarronCoffee.com and sign up for the Wild One Loyalty Program. That's the Wild One Loyalty Program, and get all of these specials emailed to you from Cimarron.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. This is the flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach. Old school.
Going to be stolen, I think, by the doctor. Yes, he's got it. Ray rocked the baby to sleep and slam dunk.
Stolen by Bird and the captain, DJ. Yeah! Buckle up for Kobe Bryant.
New era.
Oh! A jawbreaker! Curry, way downtown. Bang!
It's all basketball.
A spectacular move by Michael Jordan.
Lace them up. It's time for 1010XL's Open Gym. Leading the break, here's R.J. Saunders.
And it is the basketball show for the basketball fan on a rainy Sunday morning here in Jacksonville. R.J. Saunders here with you. Casey Dobson also in studio with us. And you, the city of Jacksonville, here talking a little round ball with us in the 904. We thank you wherever and however you are listening. Your way onto the show, as always, the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosure 641-1010, or on any one of our chat lines on social media, because no longer can I say the M word here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. So whether YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, in one of those chat rooms, you can speak to us throughout the show. We will try to get to you as best we can. Our question of the day, this was talked about on Jeff Teague's podcast. Who is a tandem that you either A, would have loved to have seen stay together, or would have loved to see come together? If there was a report that two players were going to link up, and by hook or by crook, they weren't able to, who would that have been? So a duo that I would have loved to have seen together and stayed together would have been that of T-Mac and Vince. I would have loved to have seen that duo stay together. I think they could have done great things in Toronto, but hey, Tracy McGrady wanted his own team, and at 21 years old, he got it. And we saw what he was able to do in the NBA with the Orlando Magic. Now, a duo that I would have loved to have seen link up, Kevin Garnett continues to talk about the fact that he wanted to link up with Kobe. And as much as I love Pau Gasol, and he's a great Laker and one of the NBA's greatest players of all time, could you imagine Kobe and KG linking up? Would they have won 2 championships like Pau and Kobe did? Would that have been a wash, or would that have been Kobe's second three-peat? I want to know from you, a duo that you would have loved seen stay together or come together. 641-1010. So I just have a question for you guys to start off this segment. Has nostalgia ruined how we view basketball now? We talk about the 80s. We talk about the 90s. We talk about that aesthetic of the game from back then, whether it's the NBA on NBC or how we look at some of our favorite players. And we really seem to use all that as the measuring stick as to how we digest today's game. This is where I'm getting the question from, because he made his statement so broad. This is Channing Frye on how he feels that nostalgia of the game's past has hurt our game now.
Nostalgia is killing the NBA. 90s basketball, Michael Jordan and Kobe, was not as clean as y'all think it was. Y'all forget that Jordan left the league for 2 years. Y'all forget that Kobe, rest in peace, quit on his team in the playoffs and did not shoot the basketball. So all this Kobe, Jordan, oh, he's not this, he's not that, that is propaganda. Every great player, whether that's Ant, Wemby, Bron, Steph, this, that. You know they compare him to? A motherfucker 40 years ago. The rules weren't even the same. You're not really watching help side defense. Who's doing this? What is this rule? What is that rule? You're not watching. Nobody celebrates these new people. So why the would anybody want to be the face of this league where you're going to get shitted on every network for not being somebody from 40 years ago?
So we hear the old heads say it all the time. They just don't make it like it was back in my day. You're right, they don't. Right? We've evolved. Technology, medicine, automobiles. Just as humans, we've evolved. Children today, way more tech savvy than we are now or in the past, and it is incredibly outstanding. We cry and we moan about how kids are on their tablets every day. However, they can solve anything with the swipe of a screen. I see this firsthand. And in other sports, we do it. We're a football town here. We're always talking about the NFL of the past. I'll give you an example. Warren Sapp, he did an interview, I think it was on Vlad TV. And he was talking about Sterling Sharp. And Vlad looks at him almost kind of, who's Sterling Sharp? Warren, looking nearly offended, says that's the first back-to-back 1,000-yard receiver, and you're looking at me like I just named some random guy in NFL history. Vlad's response? It was a different game back then. Warren Sapp's response? It was a man's game. I don't know how many people in the last gladiator sport, as we like to call it in the NFL and football, are calling today's game a man's game. But has it hurt the NFL? It doesn't stop us from watching. It doesn't stop people from buying YouTube TV subscriptions, NFL Sunday ticket subscriptions. In my opinion, however, I do feel a couple of things. One, I feel that people who do the comparison thing between LeBron and MJ or the faces of the league and that nostalgia factor, there's bits of me that can understand why people look at Jordan the way in which they do. This is Stuart Scott. He did a poetry slam piece on SportsCenter at the time, talking about the greatness that is Michael Jordan.
The best ever is a clever phrase we overuse when mere greatness becomes our muse or artistic inspiration. But the real celebration of best ever is an endeavor into more than great. Wait, didn't you see the tongue wagging, shorts baggy, practically dragging teammates to one NC2A, 2 gold? Brother, I was sold when he won 6 NBA rings. But the thing that makes best ever sing? Not scoring titles and MVPs, the double nickel that he sliced the Knicks at their knees, the 63 he put on Bird, Larry Legend saying, please, is that God? Isn't it odd that best ever is not about numbers, but whatever he made you feel just watching? Shock, then awe, then amazing that drops your jaw, might be pride or scorn, depending on whether you were born a Bulls, Knicks, or Celtics fan. Man, he's even better than best ever. In a career, he has weathered every storm, paved the way for athletes to say, I am an icon, a brand. Over my likeness I stand. On this day, we stand tall, too. Honoring you, Michael Jordan, best ever.
So take away the numbers, if you can. Take away the accolades, if you can. Because I do think it's remarkable what LeBron James has done in now year 22, age 40. He's just eclipsed 50,000 points. But is it that thing that Jordan did that maybe LeBron hasn't been able to do for the older generation and maybe even for the younger generation who didn't watch MJ. You're listening to a guy right now. I wasn't able to see MJ with the Bulls. I saw MJ with the Wizards. But you hear Stuart Scott say Jordan made you feel something, even if you weren't a Bulls fan. He made you feel. Kobe gave us a snapshot for those who didn't see Jordan, because Jordan also wants to admit on an interview that, hey, Kobe stole all my moves. But Kobe in his own way, once he starts getting the fro, and we better know him as Froby, and even when he changes his number from 8 to 24, the guy made us feel. And whether you loved him, whether you hated him, there was a reason why you had to be glued to the TV. I think the same thing goes for LeBron, but is it the same feel that we had with Kobe and Jordan? So is it hurting the stars of tomorrow? That's the question. Remember, we get here because Anthony Edwards is saying he doesn't want to be the face of the league. And now we may have to look to Victor Wembanyama at being the face. And this would be the first international player that we would ever see being the face of the NBA. But Orlando Magic legend Dennis Scott, when talking about comparing eras, says nobody should ever feel slighted when we compare eras. Here's 3D.
Everything, the last time I checked, to be honest, we've always compared. I don't care if it's food, drink, whatever it is in life, we've always compared. We was comparing Michael to Dr. J, weren't we? Last time I checked, right? When Shaq was trying to win, well, Shaq, you got to win like Wilt won. Well, you know, Bill Russell got 12, 11, whatever it may be. So it's like we do it to every great player that comes in. So it's now, can your game step up every night and withstand all the things the great ones do every year to be the best in our game?
So now for those who continue to say places like TNT are ruining today's game, where people don't want to watch today's game because you have three guys there who are former NBA players that feel like they're protecting their era. It seems to me, even when I watch older interviews, there's an interview on the Oprah show where Barkley and Michael Jordan are sitting down and they're talking with Oprah, daytime talk show television, and Jordan says a lot of these kids today, and I believe he's talking about the 90s at that point, could have been even talking about the 2000s after he left the game. Says a lot of these guys get paid off the potential. We had to come in the game being good right then and there. And if we weren't, there was a feeling that we weren't going to last long in the league. A lot of these guys nowadays can get chance after chance after chance after chance. We just weren't afforded that. Could that be jealousy? Maybe. I can see it on that side. But do those guys like Charles Barkley have a point? And because he may have a point, is that ruining the game for you? Now, 90s basketball, that wasn't the greatest sequence of events that we ever saw, nor was it the 80s. There was no perfect era. Just like Warren Sapp said, it's a man's game, but it hasn't hurt the era of today. What is this, the throw era? I think people like that style. It's an exciting style to them. Seeing the ball just move back and forth, and the running and the gunning. But have we now overlooked the players of today? Curry, when he drops 56 points on the Magic. I hated that, but it's a great thing that happened in NBA history. Because we're still seeing a guy at his age do the things that he does. Anthony Edwards putting everybody on posters. LeBron James at 40 years old doing what he's doing. Are we missing something here with this era? Are we so immersed at what the NBA was back then that it clouds our minds from the now? And I'll agree with Dennis Scott. We're always comparing greats to other greats. But the NBA is not off the hook here. Because I think the NBA loves that. I think they adore that. It keeps the NBA relevant. Who would you rather have? Who would you rather like to see? Who could play in the era of the past? Who could play now from the past era? I don't think it hurts the game. I think maybe feel-wise and look-wise, there's going to be a slew of people that are going to say, hey, these guys are shooting too many threes. There's a lot more load management than I would like to see. The competitive level is just not at the pace in which we saw in the 80s and the 90s, and these guys team up. We never really had that in our era. There weren't guys that were looking to team up with one another. You more or less built through the draft. But if you were a superstar player, you weren't teaming up with other superstars. So we just don't get that. But Kevin Garnett has let us know, if anything, that we do have to look at the NBA through a new lens now. And we have to appreciate these guys for who they are now. So, is that the players' fault? Because we're so enamored by Chicago's 23, LA's 24, LA's 32, Boston's 33, that we just can't look at things the same? And if we were to admit that this era was better, I'm not saying it is. But if we were to admit that, hey, the guys are more skilled than they've ever been now, does that also mean now that we have to forget the 80s, the 90s, the 70s? I don't think that it does. But let me know. 641-1010. Has nostalgia killed the NBA product today? But when we come back, the Houston Rockets, are they a team that's ready for takeoff? Or do they have a problem? We'll speak with that with Joe Blank next, right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Living life on the edge of your seat.
Are you kidding me?
Your front row seat for play-by-play.
Break it free, they're not going to catch you.
1010XL. Don't miss the Players' Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scottie Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
One thing that separates Beard's Diamonds from those other jewelry stores at the town center, no one's paid on commission.
Nobody at Beard's is on commission. That's more of your corporate stores that pay commission.
Beard's owner, John Lupo, says that means no pressure, no hidden agenda, no extra markups.
And you're getting a better deal. You're not paying the corporate commission. You're not paying the salesperson's commission. But if they're paying your salespeople commission, you're starting off in a hole.
And that's why you feel like a number at most jewelry stores, because it's all about making the sale, but not at Beard's.
Because it's a corporate atmosphere and they want to sell you what they want to sell you. We're here to sell you what you want. Our salespeople can do whatever they want to make sure that the customer is happy.
So relax. At Beard's Diamonds, they have all the things you want, like quality education, selection, warranties, and none of the stuff you don't want, like pressure and tacked on commissions.
Nobody's making an extra 5 or 10% on Beard's customers.
Beard's Diamonds, the town center's only locally owned jeweler.
We sell better merchandise, better product for less money, guaranteed.
Learn more about the beautiful game of soccer and its impact on the River City.
What a beautiful thing to behold.
Get an hour of soccer talk on the Sporting Jack Soccer Hour.
That's all I want to know.
Tuesday at 6 p.m. on 1010 a.m.
North Florida is growing with lots of new families joining our community. If you're one of them making the move here, your next move should be a call to American Electrical to create the best home automation system, enhancing your living experience. There are many ways your life can be made easier through smart home technology, voice-activated systems, automated lighting, total house temperature control. With American Electrical, they've got everything you need to automate your home and make it your true oasis. Check out American-Electrical.com, powered by professionalism and raising the excellence bar.
Out with the old, in with the organized. Mia here for my friends at Closets by Design. Freshen up your home this spring with a custom organization solution. For a limited time, take advantage of our spring special and enjoy exclusive savings on closets, garages, home offices, and more. That's 40% off with an additional 50% off with 12-month special financing through April. Spring on this deal before it's gone. Call today to schedule your free in-home consultation with Closets by Design.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Yeah. You feel it, baby?
Our next guest taught me everything I know about basketball. From his days as an NBA ball boy to working directly with teams such as the Portland Trail Blazers and the former radio and TV voice of the Houston Rockets. I wouldn't know what I know about the game if not for Joel Blank. Now one half of the hit radio show The Killer Bees on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5 in Houston. Make sure to follow him on Twitter at Pacman Joel, and he is always so gracious to give us a couple moments of his time, even when he has busy Sunday mornings. Joel, how is it going, man?
Good, buddy. How are you? Always good to talk to you.
Absolutely. Great to talk to you, too, and always great to hear your voice. And I got to start with the Houston Rockets with you because I thought that they'd make the playoffs this year, but I didn't foresee them having such a hot start in which they had. Now they've slowed down a little bit. They're currently the 5th seed in the Western Conference. But for you, have you been pleased with the way the team has played so far this season?
Yeah, I really have, AJ. You know, the thing is that I had them as a play-in team. And the progression of this team, I didn't think they were ready to take that next big leap and make one of the top 6 seeds in the West. And as you said, they got off to a hot start and looked like everything was going in the right direction. But when you look at this team as a whole in totality, especially at the top, I'm still not sold on Jalen Green. And I know that Şengün is a very skilled player, but, I mean, all these comparisons to Jokic – way too soon, and I don't think he's nearly the player of a Jokic. But they're still trying to find out so many different guys. It's just that, and you know this, and you see this throughout sports, and even the Houston Texans did this. When you get a team that kind of speeds up the turnaround and kind of speeds up the process, now more expectations. Now people are aiming higher, and the bar is set higher. This team went from Steven Silas, where they were just about rock bottom. Right. First year with Udoka, they win 22 more games. So that's impressive. Right. Now they look like they're a team that could be a legit playoff team. But now the expectations are they should be a top 4 team. They should have home court advantage. A lot of people here thought that they should win a playoff series. And I said, look, a couple months ago, I said, they're pretenders. They're not contenders. And I got killed. And I said, they'll be lucky to win 50 games. And I got killed. And I said, well, we'll see at the end of the season because I don't feel like they have those 1 or 2 guys that can kind of carry them when they – and Van Vliet was – a lot of people still think should be that guy, and I don't think in this point in his career he has that much left. So I think it's been a good next step for the Rockets, but I just think that this is who they are right now.
You were talking about guys like Jalen Green, Alperen Şengün, Fred VanVleet, but one guy that's really been popping off the screen for me when it comes to watching Houston Rockets basketball has been that of Amen Thompson, certainly one of the more improved players that we've seen from year 1 to year 2. Now, very raw when he got into the league, and he's very raw in a lot of areas now. However, it seems to me he's been a breath of fresh air for the Houston Rockets, in my opinion. What have you thought about the second-year pro and what he's been able to improve on with his game and help the Rockets?
I hope you're sitting down because I've said this throughout the year. I think he's the best player on the team. I think he's the most talented. I think he's the best player on the team. I think he has the highest upside. I think that everybody you talk to around the team and even guys around the league now are saying he has that Kobe Bryant work ethic. He and his brother are gym rats. Like, I think it was last summer that the gym that they work out in the summer was closed down. And they went out on the asphalt, and they started doing all their drills and working out that way. And the kid came into the league with a 25-letter alphabet. There was no J in it. And suddenly he starts busting his tail, and he gets the right fundamental kind of structure to his shot. And all of a sudden, he starts making more shots. And you can tell that the kid works on it, and he wants to be the best player he can be. That's why I think if there's one guy that's untouchable on this team, I would say it's Jalen Green. Because of all the huge high ceiling, we still don't know how high that is. But just the skill set overall, he rebounds, he handles the ball. Right. You know, he's athletic, he's long. You know, the shot is the only thing that can hold him back a little bit. And look, I like making the comparisons to a guy like Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook couldn't shoot the ball,
right?
But he could affect the ball in so many different ways that he became just a force. And I think Amen Thompson could be that guy.
He's one half of the hit show down there in Houston, the Killer Bees on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Joel Blank joining us on the program. Do you believe that Ime Udoka has finally gotten through to this group, or is there still just a bit more work to do when it comes to Ime Udoka and implementing his system and his culture to make it work for this ball club?
I think he's come a long way, AJ, but I think the biggest problem now is you hear this repetitively after almost every game that they lose, where he starts calling guys out in press conferences, and he starts saying we got to have better effort, and we've got to have more from our veterans, and we got to do all these things. At a certain point, I hope that he's also having these conversations behind closed doors, because otherwise, at a certain point, it's going to fall on deaf ears, and you're going to start losing your team. I think that his frustration is that he's gotten just about all he thinks he can get out of a lot of guys on this team. And now it's the combination of the veterans and the younger players that are kind of hitting a wall. How do you break through that wall? Because the biggest problem that this team has is for 3.5 quarters, they will absolutely punch you in the mouth. And then suddenly in the last half of the last quarter down to crunch time, they will go back to isolation ball. They will take bad shots. They will be careless and turn it over. And they will find ways to lose tight games. And that's a lot towards when a team takes that next big step towards becoming a contending team. And I think he's the right coach for the job. Right. And I think that he's done a hell of a job here so far. Now it might be that they might have to infuse some players in the offseason that can kind of help take him where he wants to take this team.
Now, when you talk about the team needing to make the next step, I'm starting to hear names. There's always going to be rumblings and rumors. That's just the NBA and the world we live in when it comes to the great game of basketball. But you're hearing names now. Maybe they make a move for Kevin Durant in the offseason. Chandler Parsons goes on his program and says, if I were Kyrie Irving, I would go to a team like the Houston Rockets. You hear names like LaMelo Ball as well, probably being in the mix that Houston could have their eye on. Would you go in that direction of bringing in a certified star player to this team if you're trying to take that next step and put yourself over the top of some of these other elites out west?
See, for me, I need a guy that fits the kind of structure of the rest of the team, the makeup of this team. The makeup of this team is a young team. If I got to give up a lot of draft picks and a couple of my young players in order to get a 35-year-old Kevin Durant, then I'm out.
Right.
I need a guy that fits, and I'll use the term culturally because we use culture in the locker room so well. But I need to get a guy that fits culturally in this locker room with similar in age. Booker, I don't think he's a go-to 1A player, but Booker age-wise would fit. You know, I think that you have to find guys that can slide in. Now, if you can avoid, like if Kyrie's becoming a free agent, when Kyrie becomes a free agent, that's a different story because Van Vliet's overpaid and so is Brooks.
Right.
And if you get those off the books at the end of the season, now I don't have to give up any of my core young players to go get a player that can take me to the next level. Makes more sense. Right. Phoenix, you control their number 1 pick this year and 2 other picks. They'd love to get their picks back. But if I got to give up a majority of those picks and a couple young players to get a 35-year-old Kevin Durant for a 2-year rental, I'm not doing that because I don't think that 2 years is worth the overall long-term development of every young player you have on this roster. And believe me, there's some talent that we haven't even seen yet that is going to get better. So I think that it has to be the right fit. It can't just be a big-time name that is a big-time scorer. I think it's got to be a guy that kind of fits in the age range that can play with the guys that are already on this team because I don't see them going out and trying to build a super team or being able to acquire, 2 guys. I think it's going to be one specific guy that kind of helps to kind of take it to the next level.
He's one half of the hit show, The Killer Bees on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. He's Joel Blank, the former radio and TV voice of your Houston Rockets. So I believe for me that this team is going to make the playoffs this year. Just wanted to know from you, because you've been a part of a lot of organizations and also, young teams and veteran teams, that it seems confidence-wise, when you make it into the postseason, that next year, you seem to come in with a lot more confidence. And we saw that here in Florida with the Orlando Magic. I mean, before the injuries, I thought that the playoff series in which they had against the Cleveland Cavaliers and taking that team to 7 games, it felt that them filling that atmosphere and what could happen in Orlando when everything kind of fits and gels together, they were ready to take that next step. And Paolo was absolutely incredible for the first few games before he tore his oblique. Could making the playoffs do the same thing for the Houston Rockets going into next season?
No question. No question. It's what I've been preaching it on our show for quite a while now, is the best thing you can hope for is this team solidifies a chance to play a 7-game series. And then hopefully it goes long. It goes 6 or 7 games.
Right.
Because what you really need to have is, Steven Adams has been into the playoffs, so has Van Vliet, so has Brooks. But the guys that mean the most, the Jalen Greens, the Şengüns, the Amen Thompsons, those guys got to feel it. They got to feel that it's a different atmosphere. It's a different level of pressure and stress, and everything is ramped up. And they've got to get a taste of it to understand what it's going to take to kind of take it to that next level as a team, which most of them have not experienced before. So I think it's essential that this team gets into a 7-game series, avoids a play-in, and then hopefully gets it to 6 or 7 games so that they can understand what it takes to actually compete at the highest level. And then from there, like you said, the barometer becomes, hopefully that also kind of clears up for us. Are there some guys on that team currently that get tight when the playoffs happen? Are there some guys that flourish and can understand that, hey, the moment's not too big and I can take it to the next level? And then you can start to kind of further evaluate and decipher, what do I need? What don't I have? Who can't do this that I can get rid of? So that you can kind of understand where the franchise needs to go and how you need to get there. So it's kind of like the blueprint, if you want to use your Jay-Z terminology. But it's kind of like getting your blueprint for how do I take this team to the highest level. And the playoffs are the next step in doing that, because they're going to be able to spell out so much for this squad to figure out, like, who can play, who can't, who can step up, who doesn't. Those kind of things are going to be huge in trying to understand what needs to still come into this franchise.
The last one for you before we let you go, and again, thank you for giving us a couple moments, Joel. I really appreciate it. You're an NBA head, one of the biggest NBA heads that I know. The Celtics defeat the Los Angeles Lakers last night. Cleveland has the best record out east. However, I still believe this is Boston's conference to lose. And although the Lakers, since Luka's arrival, have been absolutely fantastic, you still have OKC at the top. You still have to worry about the Denver Nuggets. But give me a few teams in the East and out West that could possibly derail a Boston versus OKC NBA Finals in June.
Yeah, it's tough, man, because I just think the depth of the Celtics and the quality of the depth at the Celtics, you've got 4 or 5 guys that might be go-to guys on any team in this league that are all on the same roster.
Yeah.
So I think Cleveland's impressive. And we had Kenny Atkinson here as a player development guy under Van Gundy when I was with the Rockets. And Kenny is a genius basketball mind. He is a guy that just lives for the game, and I could not be happier for him and what he's able to do. A lot of the Rockets disciples, JB Bickerstaff, again, doing after he got screwed, I thought, in Cleveland, doing one hell of a job in Detroit, kind of uplifting a squad that didn't look like it could get off the ground. So, but I think that Cleveland is the first legitimate contender to Boston. When you watch those two teams play and you realize Cleveland might not have the overall depth, but they have enough role players that play the right roles around Donovan Mitchell and Allen and some of the guys that they have, that they are a very, very good, very well-coached team that I think could give the Celtics a handful, and they might be able to actually beat the Celtics. Other than that, in the East, I don't see a whole hell of a lot that are teams of contention. Milwaukee's, I think, a pretender. I think that the Lillard thing hasn't worked out. I think that they kind of grasped at straws, unloaded a bad contract in Middleton to get a guy that hopefully could fit in Kuzma. He's not fitting in. They're losing a lot of close games.
Right.
I'm not sold on Doc Rivers anymore as a coach, because I've seen Doc just even when they played here recently, the plays he draws up, the inability to kind of reach his team. I'm not sold on anything in Milwaukee. So I think it's a 2-team race in the East.
Okay.
I think the West is a little more interesting, but I think OKC is obviously head and shoulders above everybody else. But you can't sleep on a Jokic Denver Nuggets team that still has Murray, and that they still have Porter Jr., and they still have the guys that they have, and they add Westbrook off the bench. Right. They've got a good mix of young players with the veterans that they have. They're peaking at the right time. Denver's a team I'd be careful about. I'm not sold on the Lakers. I think that, you got two guys with firepower, and Austin Reeves can play. They don't have anything up front. And if you play a team like Denver with Jokic, I have no clue. Last night when they were throwing all the, Horford and all the bigs that Boston had, and they're trying to guard them with Austin Reeves, and they're trying to guard them with LeBron.
Right.
That's not going to work against the Joker, and Denver's going to have a clear-cut advantage. So I think in the West, I would throw Denver in the category of a team that, with their experience too, could give OKC some trouble. Because again, OKC's a very young team. I don't know how much the experience will play into it, but I think it's going to factor. Other than that, I just don't see a lot of teams. Dallas derailed by the injury.
Yeah.
So for the most part, I think it becomes two teams in each side. I think it's Denver and it's OKC, and I think it's Cleveland and it's Boston.
It should be an exciting postseason. We are just around the corner from the NBA playoffs. It definitely will be an exciting time. And breaking the Houston Rockets and the NBA down with us has been Joel Blank, one half of the Killer Bees on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5 in Houston. Make sure to follow him on Twitter at PacManJoel. Joel, thanks so much again, and hopefully we can do this again once the playoffs come around.
Anytime, buddy.
There he goes, Joel Blank, Killer Bees, ESPN 97.5, ESPN 92.5. When we come back, we will get to a few of your texts, and also, did ESPN ruin LeBron James? I'll explain after the break. This is Open Gym.
This is Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialist, congratulating 1010XL Scholar Athlete of the Week, Maya Brumley, senior lacrosse player at Sandalwood High. Maya's scholastic achievements include the National and English Honor Societies. Congratulations, Maya.
This is Greg Huntington, a.k.a. The Mangler. I'm on the winning team at Waste Management. WM is the largest sustainability company in North America. If your business needs sustainable environmental services for waste removal and recycling collection, then you can count on the industry leader of WM to deliver results. Your services will be completed in a timely, safe, and eco-friendly manner. Go to WM.com/Duval. That's WM.com/Duval and get signed up today. If anyone can talk trash, it's the Mangler.
Denny Thompson here. If you haven't heard, Tyson Sound & Security has a house built right inside their showroom, showcasing complete home automation and security systems. You have to see it to believe it. This setup can recognize intruders who approach your door and alerts them to leave if there's a break-in. Keep your family safe with the most state-of-the-art technology. Tyson Sound & Security, your security, home theater, and home automation experts. New showroom at 3555 U.S. Highway 17 in Fleming Island.
It's game time for your business, and Advanced Business Solutions has the winning play. With Xerox copiers, you'll never miss a deadline. Fast, reliable, and built for high performance, Xerox copiers keep your team ahead of the competition. From printing to scanning, Xerox brings the MVPs of efficiency to your office. Ready to make the winning move? Hire the champions at Advanced Business Solutions. Better known.
Printers, copiers, and IT management. Advanced Business Solutions.
A symphony of sweat, grit, and glory. Dive into the action and live the moments. For play-by-play, it's 1010XL.
Where on your body is the weenus? The answer next.
When you call Southern Oak and file a claim, you'll be handled by our hand-picked vendors who will analyze any roof, storm, or water damage. It'll save money for you.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
The weenus is your elbow skin and can be pinched as hard as you want, and it will never cause pain.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Did you know your pup could take 30,000 to 60,000 steps a day at Dogtopia of Jacksonville Beach Boulevard? That's a whole lot of tail wagging fun with their best furry friends. At Dogtopia, they turn playtime into exercise, learning, and socialization in their off-leash, open play environment. Dogs build confidence, reduce anxiety, and stay happy and healthy, all while having the time of their lives. Visit Dogtopia of Jacksonville Beach Boulevard today.
Lauren Brooks here for Terminix. When pests invade your home or business, you don't just need them out, you need them out fast. and you need to keep them out. At Terminix, they'll show up for you and eliminate pests quicker, just like they did at my house, because they care about what matters most to you. When pests show up, so does Terminix. Don't live with a pest problem, Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com. That's right, Terminix it.
ET here, and spring in Clay County means one thing: the award-winning Clay County Fair. It's more than just rides and a concert, it's an experience. Savor the flavors of classic fair treats, explore family-friendly attractions, and enjoy a perfect mix of small-town charm and big-time fun. Plan your trip with Explore Clay County Tourism and turn your visit into a getaway. Find the best places to stay, eat, and explore at exploreclay.com. And don't forget to share your fair adventures with #ExploreClay.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
The 903 has been making a lot of great points on our text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. He also answered the question of the day, T-Mac and Tim Duncan, when he was supposed to be coming to Orlando. That's a crazy story Grant Hill told about the whole Tim Duncan situation, that Timmy was supposed to be a member of the Orlando Magic, but Doc Rivers didn't know how to lie. When Tim Duncan's significant other asked, hey, can we come on the team plane? Do you allow that with your organization? Doc said, no, we don't allow that. And apparently his significant other looked at Tim, and Tim said, well, I guess we're staying in San Antonio. Imagine the balance of power that would have had. Grant Hill, T-Mac, and Tim. Also hearing a story that Shaq wanted to come back to Orlando to team up with Tracy McGrady. And apparently Dwayne Wade, if he would have went past 5, Orlando said there's no way you'll get past 8, or that Orlando was trying to trade with Miami to get the 5th pick to get Dwayne Wade. Imagine Shaq, T-Mac, and D. Wade on the same team. There'd probably be a parade going on. There probably would have been several parades going on in Orlando. 641-1010, a tandem that you would have loved to see in the NBA, or a tandem that you would have loved to see stay together. I don't know if Shaq and Kobe would have stayed together. It seems to me Kobe said eventually at some point one of us would have had to go. Kobe just didn't feel that was fair, that people were saying, well, the only reason you've won your championships is because of Shaq. And although he says that's unfair because nobody's made that comparison or talk that talk when Magic and Kareem were together, that Magic was only winning because of Kareem or vice versa, or Jordan was only winning because of Scottie. Scottie only won because of Jordan. He just felt that he was the only guy that was being met with that argument. So as much as I would love to say I would have loved to have seen Shaq and Kobe stay together, and maybe they could have rounded off 2 more championships and probably would have won 5 together. They may have won 6 together if Shaq's body could have held up. But it's time for Shaq to go. Lakers have a couple of down years. Finally get Pau Gasol. 3 straight trips to the finals. Ultimately winning 2. Now, to the question that I asked before the break. Has ESPN destroyed LeBron James? For as long as we've known LeBron, he's been one of the staples of the NBA. And I also believe that as long as there's somebody on the planet, the former number 1 overall pick in the 2003 NBA draft is going to be revered as one of the greatest NBA players of all time. Now, the reason why I asked this question, for starters, I'm not a huge Jason Whitlock guy, but he did say this, and it did make me go, This was his tweet from a couple of days ago, and I would love to hear your answer. 641-1010. Quote, obviously, I'm not a LeBron James homer. Here's the deal. Skip Bayless, ESPN, Stephen A., and Embrace Debate put LeBron James on the defensive very early in his career. They stunted LeBron James's growth and sent him down the angry victimhood path. Skip started trolling 21-year-old LeBron about Michael Jordan. Skip put LeBron in a fight he could never win. No one else has faced that kind of polarizing discussion. You ain't Jordan, you ain't Gretzky, you ain't Ali. Mike Tyson didn't have to be Ali for his greatness to be recognized and fully celebrated. Debate Sports TV undermined LeBron and put him on the defensive, turned a happy-go-lucky kid angry and defensive. Facts are facts. This should be discussed, but it takes too much thought and won't go viral. Have we not appreciated LeBron James? I'm asking seriously, like because I didn't want to say seriously because I don't want anybody to think I'm sounding facetious. Have we not appreciated LeBron as much as we should have appreciated him? As we spoke about on the top of the show, Channing Frye believes we're so in love with the nostalgia of games past that we fail to look at it through the new lens of the here and now and just not say it's amazing what a man at 40 is able to do. He's a top 5 MVP candidate, according to NBA.com. Back then, we thought at 34, 35, 36, it's time for you to start thinking about the next endeavor that you want to take. And for me personally, I think a guy like Skip Bayless legitly made a career out of saying LeBron isn't better than Mike. Now, whether you agree or not, we have that argument all the time. And none of us are getting paid millions and millions of dollars to say that, hey, Mike is better than any player I've ever seen. And to say that for 20 years, to have that as a topic for 20 plus years of this man's career. I don't know if I've seen that for any other player, and this is coming from a guy who's not a LeBron James fan like that. Ernie Johnson asked Kobe Bryant if it was going to eat away at him when he announced his retirement. Was it going to eat away at him that he didn't win that illustrious 6th ring? Because Mr. Bryant said that he wanted to sit at the table with Mike. And although you don't have a legion of hoop heads that are going to say that Kobe's better, at least they'll probably say he's the closest thing to Michael Jordan. Other side of the coin. Who in NBA history, since Mike, has ever said, I'm setting out to be better than Mike? Even predating that of Michael Jordan. Magic Johnson never said he was going to be the best ever. Kareem never said that. Bird didn't say it. Wilt, in his heart, probably felt he was the best player ever and that he could have dominated in any era. And anyone who watched me would probably agree that I was the best player, not only of my era, but you could argue the best player of all time. Shaq wanted to be the most dominant. Shaq wasn't looking out to be the greatest player of all time. LeBron labeled himself as a chosen one. He himself said, I'm trying to chase the ghost of Chicago. Now, he, to me, never eclipsed Jordan. To me, he never even eclipsed that of Kobe. But have we, hoop heads and fans alike, and also pundits that are out there, put LeBron in a situation he could never win? Let me hear your thoughts. 641-1010. We start with Gary. Wants to get in on this conversation. Gary, what's going on?
How are you, my friend?
Good. How are you?
All right. Hey, RJ, it's Skip Bayless was a troller. He made his claim to fame and allegations that were unsubstantiated against Troy Aikman. So from then on, I had zero respect for Troy Aikman. Skip Bayless. He's all he wants to do is throw heat and allegations against people, but can't prove any of it.
Right.
But throws all this stuff out there, trying to hurt the reputation of people, and it was just disgusting what he tried to do to Troy Aikman. And as far as the Magic, very disappointed in the Magic. Suggs went out, and the whole team fell apart. They forgot to play defense, RJ. Unbelievable. I actually thought that Jamal Mosley was a good coach. I'm starting to question that now because he could not rally the troops. How can you lose to the Toronto Raptors in back-to-back games and then the Bulls? Inexcusable. The talent on that team, just Banchero and Franz Wagner alone, they should be able to beat those teams. Thanks, RJ.
Thank you, Gary. The Orlando Magic, it's certainly been a trying time for that organization. I don't think that it's time to press the panic button yet. I do believe that the off season is going to be that of a critical one. But to get to the Skip Bayless point, it does seem he's made a career just off of one man. Now, Peter Vesey was also a guy that you could probably argue made a career off of not bashing MJ, but probably not giving MJ his due diligence. The man just eclipsed 50,000 points. He's the all-time leading scorer, a record we never thought was going to be broken. He turned the game mobile, for better or for worse. But maybe in his mind, he's saying the world doesn't say or admit that I'm the greatest player. What in the world? And maybe we have to ask ourselves, how much does a guy like Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith, Charles Barkley, how much do they play into that? Because we do hear them week after week, day after day in a 24-hour sports news cycle. Let's get Kevin on the horn, wants to talk about this. Kevin, what's going on?
Hey, man. So I think it all becomes down to like a moral situation and a basketball situation.
Okay.
There has been so many things with Kobe and Michael in a moral situation, and you have a lot of people who don't look at that. But LeBron has never had a problem in the moral situation, but ESPN hyped it up because it was the trade to Miami. It was, we're going to make this a big, big thing.
Right.
And that's whenever people in basketball situations go, hey, take your emotions out of it. Your emotions have no clue what's going on. But, yeah, that's the thing. LeBron is a great player. I still would pick Michael over LeBron,
right,
without a doubt, because I'm an older man. And I have two children who, they fight all the time because the boys go, hey, no, LeBron is the best. No, Michael is the best.
Right.
No. But, that's the situation that I'm going through right now. So, Michael was the best, but the public controversy, and LeBron has never had that. So.
That is a great point from you, Kevin, and I appreciate the phone call because, listen, LeBron James has not been in the public eye. I think Allen Iverson, when he was on the Stephen A. Smith show, he said, man, listen, they love you now, but they're waiting for something to happen. Look at guys like me. Look at guys like Kobe when he had it, because that was around that time. Kobe was going through his trials. Michael Jordan, gambling problem. LeBron James, we haven't heard anything from the media or his name being dragged through the mud in the media. He's been one of the greatest stories, if not the greatest story in the history of sports. For a guy to come out and not have any demons, no bodies come out of the closet. Now, talent-wise, it just depends on the day and how you feel. I don't have him past Kobe. I don't have him past Mike. Now, you can call me a hater all you want. This is just my opinion. I have the microphone in my hand. You may feel differently. But Kevin makes an awesome point here. Shouldn't we give LeBron something? This guy's been clean the entire time. They wanted that to be Kobe. Kobe messed that up. Mike, they made Mike a superhero. He messed that up. Magic, in a way, due to his own downfalls, I think that rocked him just a tiny bit when he has to announce his retirement. We'll have to talk about this more next week. LeBron James is an all-time great player, but is it fair or not that we don't give him his just due? And is that at the fault of one Skip Bayless? He's one of the reasons why LeBron James has been destroyed. We will see. So for Casey Dobson, I'm RJ Saunders. This has been Open Gym on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. We'll see you next week.